first of all, let's jump in terms of you, your journey with Peroni, what brings you here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Alex. And thanks for having us, Brand Innovators. Also, thanks for a wonderful dinner last night. Great hospitality. It was really enjoyable. My name's Gareth. I lead all of our global partnerships for Peroni, Nastro, Azzurro globally. Journey with the brand. I've been with the brand for 9 years, and it's definitely been a journey. I think there's been lots of exciting things happen over the course of the years. But this is definitely currently one of the most exciting things I think I've been involved in on the brand. And I think that generally across the brand, the excitement that we're generating from our time and partnership in F1 and our new partnership with Ferrari. Here in Miami. So that's, part of the role is that when we activate at key races, someone's got to go and check out, make sure everything works okay and everything's being done properly and everything's being delivered in the right way. Specifically Miami this weekend. It's exciting. It's glamorous, but there's also things like this morning where I'm getting messages from the team say that our bidder hasn't arrived in the paddock. How are we going to fix that? So that's ensues a number of different phone calls to try and create a fix. Or we've mislaid some passes. That's also a really fun one to try and deal with. But beyond that, more importantly for us this weekend is about it's the first time we're activating at scale through the line with this new partnership. Hopefully won't have to look too far to see some of that. And it's we're super excited and
Certainly the Arlo has been taken over by Peroni, so very, very visible. Before we get into F1 and racing and what you're doing right now, tell us a little bit about Peroni, the brand strategy overall, the vision for the Americas.
Sure. Yeah, I think So we work. I work in a central global marketing team. We work. We tend to activate the way where we activate and how we activate things like our partnerships and our advertising. To be honest, is very much driven by our local teams. So everything you just referenced and seeing here, I can't take credit for it. That's done down to the great work of our local marketing team and sales teams on the ground. In terms of partnerships, it's we can't take credit for saying that we're the first beer brand to enter into a sports sponsorship. That's that's probably been happening since the 1950s from our counts. It's relatively new for us. Why? Well, I think taking a step back, beer and sport have a lot in common. They're at the heart of those at the heart they're about bringing people together. I work for Azzurro Europe an International, which owns the Peroni brand, and our company purpose is about creating meaningful connections. That's what we feel beer can do for beer drinkers and for consumers. So partnerships give us an amazing opportunity to do that, and do that in a way that some of our other marketing activities can't provide the same opportunity. So we can go and find beer drinkers who may or may not be interested in our brand. Hopefully they will be, and connect with them around something that they're actually really passionate and interested about. And that gives us a great opportunity to engage. And that's what we do with our partnerships, and that's what we do with F1.
Well, we're going to see some of that in action in terms of the great results of what you're working on these days. But before we get to Ferrari, tell us a little bit about F1 and where that fits in with the overall brand strategy and the interest in sports partnerships, as you mentioned.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'll happily explain this question to any stakeholder, anyone who generally asks, and something I do quite regularly internally back in London when I'm in the office. But I think in terms of F1, there hasn't really been a better time to be in the sport for a partner and for a consumer brand like us. And again, well-versed metrics here, but it's, we were looking at Dougal, our partner at Rasmussen, did some work with us a few years ago to look at different platforms that could be relevant for us as a brand. And, really, there aren't really many other platforms that are truly global. Have this, there's going to be 24 Super Bowls happening around the world under the auspices of F1 this season. It's all year round as well, so that the season is pretty much 10 months long. But then there's also your build up to the season as well as another opportunity to go and engage, and that's what we tried to take a bit of ownership around back at the end of January when we announced this partnership with Ferrari. And not just that, but it's not just the audience is growing. So 6.5 million tickets were sold last year. But there's a fan base of 800 million and growing. So there's a huge delta there of people that don't get to experience the sport. It gives us a great opportunity to go and engage them. And not only is that audience growing, but it's becoming more diverse and younger as well. I think if you're quoting Joe Pompliano, who's a great commentator on this sort of stuff, and if you don't listen to his podcast, definitely urge you all to. Yeah, he referenced recently that the average age of an F1 fan is 32. That's super young. The average age on most other big platforms, EFL, NBA, you're talking mid to late 40s, and in some cases actually early 50s. So it's a super young audience for a brand like us who are looking to recruit new beer drinkers. That presents another great opportunity.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with someone yesterday. I think that Netflix series, The Drive to Survive, definitely helped sort of expose the younger audiences to F1. It's great to see, the sort of fan zone activation that's down here in Wynwood. Wynwood is a very young, hip part of town. So all of these things, I think, help lower that average age because you're right. I mean, Formula One's global sport, huge reach, and the age has traditionally been a bit higher than 32.
Yeah, definitely. I think Liberty have to, and they do get a lot of credit, but the job they've done in terms of bringing this sport to a whole new generation is pretty amazing, really. And not just Drive to Survive, but the way that the teams and the drivers have opened up and really embraced social media has it's just really it's spoken to the Gen Z and next generation, and look, hope that will continue, I'm sure.
Clearly a good fit for the brand and the direction you're going in. That makes total sense. Tell us a bit more about Ferrari. Iconic Italian brand. Seems like a perfect fit.
Yeah, sure. It was kind of a match made in heaven, really, for us. And I think we looked at the opportunity when it was presented, and there's a couple of reasons why we decided to go ahead and pursue the partnership. So firstly, it's two Italian brands built on heritage, on substance, but style as well, which is quite important for us as a brand. I would say you want to the right thing when you announce a partnership like this, and you're getting messages from friends, family who don't even like F1, not even interested, but say, "Wow, that's a really cool partnership. That makes a lot of sense." So even my 4-year-old daughter got excited when she saw the red car. So that tells you you're in the right space, playing in the right territory. And beyond that, brand fit for us, it's also the audience opportunity. Ferrari are the oldest, most celebrated team. We in the process of creating the strategy around the comms plan, we referenced a quite famous quote from Sebastian Vettel. He said that deep down every F1 fan supports Ferrari a little bit, and I think that you see that when big announcements are made. The livery reveal they've done this weekend's got created so much talkability. So the audience opportunity, but then also the real thing that really binds us as brands and which we felt was exciting is the passion. The fan base that we'll talk about that in a second, but the fan base that we're looking to engage around on Ferrari. If you ever get the chance to go to Monza, if you do this year, let me know, because we've got a lot of stuff happening there. It's going to be awesome. You see the passion of the Ferrari fans, and it's like nothing else in F1. It's to be honest, it's like nothing else in a lot of sports. It's a real experience, and they kind of epitomise everything that we're about as a brand, and that's who we want to go and engage and celebrate as part of this partnership.
Well, we're going to see some of that in a second. I think. Tell us a bit, we're going to jump to a quick sort of teaser video in a second, but tell us about the digital component of the strategy, and in particular what you've done in the last couple months ahead of F1 season, and then we'll show a quick video that I think was on social and had some really, really great feedback.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, so we looked at the world of F1, the world of partnerships. We felt that there's an opportunity around how you announce, and I think that goes across any sporting partnership really. You get an opportunity to announce this thing, and that's a chance to generate reach, generate eyes, eyeballs, generate talkability. Hopefully, we looked at it and thought there's there's a kind of traditional route of doing that, press release, maybe an image, maybe a video of someone from the team, and we just felt that maybe we could do something a little bit different. And we have to do things differently. We don't have we don't necessarily have the same media budgets that some of our competitors have. So how could we do something that would really create a talking point, a talkability? So we took a bit of a risk. It's not something that we do normally as a Peroni, as a beer business, but we wanted to do something social first. We looked at timings and we thought by February time or end of January, F1 fans have kind of been starved from their sport for a few months. The season finishes end of November. You've got quite a lot of downtime where they're not really hearing much from their team, from their heroes, from the drivers. And the only real news that starts to come is have drivers moved and have any new sponsors entered the sport. So we thought, well, let's try and capitalise on that. And there's a bit of clean air here. Let's try and create some social first comms that will travel and be talked about. The way we thought we could do that was by a bit of a tongue-in-cheek style communication, and basically putting all of our driver time that we had for the season into this asset that we'll show you now. And the results have been brilliant. We've had over 19.5 million views of this asset we'll show you, and the sentiment, more importantly, comments like "time to start drinking Peroni" is exactly what you're trying to achieve and when you do this sort of thing.
Yeah, content and creativity, a great way to generate buzz. So high quality social video, pre-season to generate buzz. I understand there's a lot of different Easter eggs in there as well, sort of teasing the new season for hardcore fans. Is that correct? Yeah,
that's right. So I guess I probably should have said a bit sooner. So when we looked at the common strategy, the campaign we wanted to create around the partnership, it's all centred on the idea that we don't just want to be the official beer of Scuderia Ferrari. We are, and the rights we've acquired entitled, determine that and entitle us to that. But actually, the long-term goal is for us to be the official beer of the Ferrari fans of the Tifosi. That's what we're aiming to do. That's not going to come easy. We have to earn that right, and that means that everything we do needs to celebrate or add value to the fan experience. So the thought was, well, how could we encapsulate that from the very first communication that we make? And so the idea was that we would literally write a love letter to the Tifosi by putting their name on our label, changing our label to Tifosi Nastro Azzurro 0.0%, and doing a limited run of those bottles. And then we thought, well, how could we communicate that? Well, maybe the drivers would go and break into the brewery and relabel it themselves. So that was the concept that hopefully comes through there. And then in the process, it's kind of trying to find those things that could engage and excite and delight fans. So Easter eggs seems to be a common parlance we're using, certainly in my team at the moment. But there's lots of F1 references there. So the box when he's opening the box to change it, when they're changing the labels on the box, the way that the radios come through like they would in the race. It's all little touches like that F1 fans love that stuff. It created a lot of talk and buzz on social.
And then this is a little bit more creative, out of home, very colorful. Obviously, blue, white, red. This also made, this is everywhere, right? Part of the global activation ahead of this new season.
Yeah. So this is our out of home, key visual that we've created, and hopefully lots of markets are going to be placing around key cities, around races. I think again for us, we're just we just thought, how could we do this differently, and how can we, a lot of advertising around F1 focuses on the car and the technical aspects, and we're, again, like I said, we can't make the team go faster. We can't help them run more efficiently. But what we can do is impassion the fans. So we wanted to sort of look at this and say, well, how can we demonstrate that? How can we celebrate that? And that was, so there's actually some real, these are the guys that feature in the TVC piece as well. And a couple of those people are actually real Ferrari fans. We actually went out to try and find some. And then you can see the Japanese Tifoso there is, again, reminiscent of what you will see when you see Ferrari fans in Japan and Suzuka. So we're really trying to make it reflect the real fans, and people can hopefully see themselves in some of the communication.
Yep, a lot of diversity. So we covered social media. We've now covered sort of out-of-home static. 60-second spot, flies by, lots of color, lots of passion, lots of excitement. Tell us a little bit, this was with Troublemaker, is that correct? Tell
That's
us a
right.
little bit about the creative process here, the message, the vision.
Yeah, so Troublemaker, a boutique agency based out of London, really talented agency. Again, I think we looked at traditional communications from F1 partners, and as I say, a lot of them tend to focus on the stock footage you get from your partnership, from what happens on the track with the car, with the team. And we just thought we want to do something a little bit different, and something that maybe drives a bit more of an emotional connection to the fans that we're ultimately trying to engage and win with. So I guess what can I say in terms of the process? Firstly, the team are Ferrari fans, so they actually are F1 passionate. Camilla in our team, she's extremely talented. She's Italian, and she's had a history of supporting Ferrari as well. So that's definitely a good place. It comes from an authentic place in terms of developing the idea. And as the idea developed, we also tested with real fans. So we found samples of Ferrari fans from different countries, and tested some of the storyboarding and some of the concept, and tweaked things as we got their response. And then I think the last piece was just really maintaining like high standards of how we filmed, how we captured. So the quite dramatic chorus and choir and orchestra there was actually we did that properly. We recorded that in a recording studio in London, where Adele recorded most of her albums. Had a real live choir in there. We just maintained those sort of high standards really, and it was a bit of a labour of love. We were racing at pace to get it ready in time for 2 weeks ago when we launched it. Hopefully it resonates, and people think it's cool, because we really love it.
Well, big reveal, it did. As I mentioned, System 1, we test ads, so as soon as we got our hands on this ad, we tested it.
It'd be pretty awkward if it didn't, I guess, right now.
We wouldn't be showing the results if it didn't test well. It's more exciting the second time around.
Or the 200th in my case, but.
So just the Nat Rep sample scored a 2.3, which is category average. It's a very competitive category. There's a lot of really, really good advertising in the beer category. But once we zoom in on F1 fans, to your earlier point about tapping into the passion of the fan and how engaged the F1 fans are in general, you absolutely nail it, and to the tune of a 3-point jump on a scale from 1 to 6. So from 2.3 to 5.3 is huge jump in terms of just emotional response from F1 fans. So congrats to Troublemaker.
Thank
you. Really crushed it with F1 fans.
Thank you.
So just to wrap up, let's talk about what you would like to see through the summer, through the season. How do you measure success with F1, with Ferrari, and the partnership in general?
Lots to answer. In terms of measurement, it's an ongoing question. To get asked that many times by stakeholders when I'll get back to England. I guess you can't shy away from the core metric that helps you drive return on investment for any sports partnership, but especially in F1. It's not cheap to invest into these partnerships. So ultimately the media value is going to be a key driver of how we determine the return on investment. The amazing branding positions we've got on the car, the amount of exposure that creates. That's going to help give you a media value that helps determine the return on investment for your partnership fee. What's clear and what we know is the more successful the team, the bigger that media value is, because obviously they're going to get more exposure on TV and on social. So what would I like to see? Be great if Ferrari can knock Red Bull off their throne, I guess, and that's definitely definitely the intention. And from talking to the team, there's tons of work happening in the background to give them every opportunity to do that. And then otherwise, it's all about in terms of how we measure. It's all about driving brand equity. So how can we impact this audience in a way that's going to help them want want to engage, want to drink Peroni more. Ultimately, that's the goal, and hopefully this is the start of that journey of accelerating that a bit further. And at the end of the day, like I say, it's the more we can activate, the more we can work with our great partners in local markets like here in the US and elsewhere. We'll activate more, and that will hopefully happen. All the way through to in the grocery store or at the bar, where there'll be more activation that will drive more talkability and more purchase. So that's what we're hoping to achieve, and obviously working with Ferrari and hopefully seeing them get on the more podiums and more wins will help deliver all of that.
Great, thank you. Do we have time for one or two questions?
Yeah, we could do a couple of questions.
Yeah. Any questions from the audience? Yeah.
How much of your U.S. reach are you looking at when you're creating this as a global campaign? How does that inform what you're saying and trying to communicate?
Yeah, so I think, as I said, so in the development process, we try and engage our market stakeholders. So we see all of the markets as that's my customers essentially. We've got to make sure that, especially when it comes to TV production, TVC productions like this, again, not cheap. So if no one's using it, it's a bit of a fail on our side. So so I guess from an internal perspective, we try and create a stakeholder committee, as it were, to make sure that the thinking resonates with what how they're looking to leverage and activate in market. And then the next piece is on the consumer side, which is ultimately the more important piece in my view. Like I said, we create a sample of fans from around all of our key markets essentially to test this in development. So I think that's we have to have you have to have a global mindset, and obviously there's always cultural nuances, but some ways what's great about partnerships like this, sports, is that there's kind of like a universal truth, and that's, if you can try and tap and find that, doesn't mean you always will, but if you can, then hopefully it should transcend cultures and just become more of a general piece. So we consider it. It's definitely important.
Thank you. Any additional questions? Yeah.
Just curious, the trend of youth drinking less. What are you seeing as it relates to that? Is it true?
Thank you, because that's a key message that I hadn't landed. So it's a massive trend, right? And it's super important for beer, for the beer category to consider. But one of the, I guess, we were talking about stakeholders and the rationale for doing partnerships like this, and it's the media value and the brand fame is key and important. But actually, for us as a brand, us as a business, the other, it's not just about the fame; it's about purpose. We have a company objective, Azzurro Europe International, to have 20% of our portfolio as non-alcoholic by 2030. So we're about 7% at the moment, so we've got quite a long way to go, and this is going to be a key part of doing that. It's going to be a key part of us driving towards that goal. So, obviously the motorsport and alcohol isn't a great combination, so the fact that we've got a non-alcoholic beer that we launched in 2022 that we want to try and drive more consideration of, again, F1 gives us an amazing platform to do that. So it's absolutely at the heart of all the thinking and rationale behind this partnership, for sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
So obviously there's the F1 audience and then also the Ferrari audience and then the individual driver audiences. There's lots of crossover between them, obviously, but how do you look to, we talked a lot about digital the last couple of days, how do you look to leverage the individual drivers when you're thinking about how to strategize how to reach different audiences and maximize your reach?
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. I think the role of the drivers is key. They have their, it's one of the few sports where actually, there's almost more fervent following of the driver than there is necessarily of the team. Except, I'd say, for Ferrari, certainly in Italy, which is obviously a pretty important market for us. It's Ferrari is the national team of Italy. You won't see many Italians supporting any other team. So. That's the power of the Ferrari team and the Ferrari brand. That's again the key reason why we're in partnership with them. The role of the drivers is critical in how we work with them. We've got some plans I can't talk about, but we're good. There's definitely a plan around how we do that a bit more moving forwards. And then I guess in terms of I think the opportunity with F1, it's become such a cultural phenomenon now that the the target is very much the Ferrari fan first. We think if we talk to Ferrari fans, that we'll talk to a broader F1 fan base because, as Sebastian Vettel said, everyone's kind of a bit of a Ferrari fan at heart. But I think the super exciting thing, and racing to track straight from here, you'll see, it's not just motorsports fans, it's, the world of entertainment and culture are going to all be very visible and present in Miami this week. And that gives, I always talk about this idea of around culture clash. F1 is really becoming a bit of a culture clash in terms of the people and the audiences that are attracted into the sport. People, I think Drive to Survive and the status of the drivers is bringing people into the sport that they may not even be that bothered about the race, but there's the whole, a bit like similar to the Super Bowl, there's the whole experience and sense of events that, again, is really done brilliantly here in the US. I think is the opportunity to, you can talk to a broader audience than just the hardcore F1 fan, and that's, we're certainly cognizant of that, and that's going to play a motivation in some of our plans that are going to come to life a bit later this year, hopefully, which I can't talk too much about, apparently.
Last question?
Yeah, could you talk a little bit about what it's like activating in a space that Heineken is really trying to carve out for itself?
We should have left that question to the end, shouldn't I? It's what can I say? It's tricky. It's tricky. It's really tricky. Heineken obviously have the global rights with F1. We have rights with the team. We have to be very careful. The team are very careful to ensure that we're not infringing upon those. What I would say, it's one of the examples of, I think anyone who's thinking about getting into the sport needs to be aware, it's one of the many complexities that you have to navigate when you're trying to operate a partnership like this. So you've got lots of brands, in lots of instances, lots of competing brands in the same category in teams or as F1 partners. There's the fact that it is global. There's logistics. As I said, our beer delivery didn't make it to the paddock today. These things happen like unbelievable amounts because the amount of logistical consideration needs to happen. So it's something we have to be very mindful and cognizant of and respectful of. But it's just one of many complexities we have to navigate in this space.
Gareth, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks to you guys. Thank you.
Good luck to Ferrari.
Thanks, everyone.